Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to have you with us today. We've all heard of the Ponzi scheme and the devastation it causes for those who fall for it. Cleveland attorney John Chapman specializes in helping individuals who've been impacted and will tell us what to look out for in Ponzi schemes. Later on the broadcast today, Patricia Cunningham and Barbara Williams will tell us about the Women of Vision Luncheon and how it is involved with a group called 100 Black Women of Greater Cleveland. We're going to have a wonderful time today. This is Kaleidoscope. Good morning again. I'm Leon Bibb, and so we begin. Beginning right now with John Chapman, an attorney. Good to have you with us. John S. Chapman and Associates.
Yes.
How are you, John?
I'm just great, thanks.
Good, good. We're going to talk today about Ponzi schemes. First off, what is a Ponzi scheme? P-O-N-Z-I.
That's it, named after Carlo Ponzi, who immigrated to the United States around the turn of the last century and persuaded people to invest millions of their dollars back then with promises that they'd get 50% returns within 6 months. That's the template. A Ponzi scheme is an illusion. It's a mirage. You're led to believe that there is a legitimate business enterprise making profits at a high rate of return. There is no such thing.
You see these in your business as an attorney? You see people who get, well, the word is suckered into this.
They get suckered in with promises of high rates of return and safety over a long period of time.
How do you know it's a Ponzi scheme? If somebody comes knocking on your door, and I've had them knock on my door, I've had them call me on my telephone, saying, here's a chance for you to make millions, Leon.
Right.
And right there, I got a red flag goes up.
Right.
That sound right.
That's a good instinct.
That's good instinct.
That's a good instinct. How do you know it's a Ponzi scheme? The only way you get a definitive answer is by sort of doing a forensic, taking it all apart and looking at it. I'll tell you what the warning signs are. Promises of a high rate of return over a long period of time. Sell you a promissory note that'll pay you 15% for the next 5 years, guaranteed. Money in the bank, it's like an annuity. Big red flag.
You've handled Ponzi cases where people have been victims in this. Take us to, I know you had one of the big ones here in town fairly recently.
Yes, most of our practice is actually outside of Ohio. One of the important cases, though, we've been working on forever involves the now notorious Joanne Schneider, who lived over on the west side and sold promissory notes to hundreds of Northeast Ohio families. There was no economic reality to what she was doing. She said that she had a highly profitable real estate business, but it was all smoke and mirrors. It was money coming in from new investors and getting distributed to old investors. And it feeds on itself.
And she went to prison on that.
She went to prison eventually, but not fast enough to satisfy a lot of people. There were many opportunities to identify what she was doing and stop it. The problem is that it's difficult, and people really have to watch out for themselves.
What happened to those hundreds of Northeast Ohioans who put money into this illegal scheme of hers? What happened to them, and what happened to their money?
They invested. Many of them invested their entire life savings, hundreds of thousands of dollars, with promises that it would be safe, it would grow, it would give them a steady stream of income. And with good reason. I mean, her situation, Joanne Schneider was a church woman. She was very outwardly pious. She had pictures of herself and the bishop and the pope in her office. Most importantly, she had been doing this for a long time. That's the nature of the Ponzi scheme, is it starts rolling, you make distributions, and suddenly you have all these apostles who say, Schneider program's the best thing since sliced bread.
Did any of these people ever get anything back?
Sure, some people
keep them in,
well,
to keep them going.
Right, absolutely. Some of them got distributions as promised. It's very important that she continues to make those payments when they're due. As soon as she fails, the jig's up. There's a lawsuit, there's an investigation, there's complaints. It's all over. She's got to keep everybody happy. Lots of these Schneider investors, and this is not atypical, said, "Let it roll. Just put my dividends back into your program, and just build my nest egg that way."
How much did some of these folks lose?
People lost. Some of the larger investors lost $500,000, $750,000. Entire 401ks rolled over from the Ford Motor Plant. A more typical loss is probably in the range of 50 to 75. A lot of money.
Mm-hmm. And these were local people right here in town.
The great majority of them,
many of them.
Great majority of them were Northeast Ohio investors, and there's still no recovery.
What led you into this area of law, trying to help people who've gotten suckered in?
Investment fraud is a real plague upon the land. There's a lot of it. The number of Ponzi schemes, we look at hundreds of them in a single year in every part of the country. The market is underserved. If you turn to your phone book, you'll see so many lawyers doing workers' compensation, injury, malpractice, but the number of attorneys that are helping victims of investment fraud is relatively small. And so we saw an opportunity and a need, we've met with.
Sadly, you've got a lot of business in that area.
The sad news is that business is good.
Yeah. We're going to continue talking to John Chapman of John S. Chapman and Associates about Ponzi schemes. By the way, his telephone number is 216-241-8172. You can get more information right on what we're talking about if you make a phone call, or you can go to johnschapman.com. We're going to continue our discussion with him. I've got to take a break. I'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. We're talking today to John Chapman, who specializes in helping individuals who've been victims of what's called Ponzi schemes, and he's been explaining to us how to recognize financial scams and how to protect yourself from financial scams. How do people get sucked in to these financial scams, John?
It's an extraordinary thing. The stereotype might be that a Ponzi scheme victim is somebody who's greedy or stupid. I will tell you that most of our clients are neither of those things. Most of our clients are people who are using their very best instincts to try and make a good and careful decision. For instance, my firm represents about 150 federal government employees, mostly FBI agents who were burned in a Ponzi scheme.
FBI agents?
FBI agents burned by a government contractor by the name of Wayne McLeod. The most suspicious, highly educated, trained, disciplined demographic you can imagine, FBI agents, and they were taken for over $40 million. So we represent those individuals in various cases. What happens? You think about families that are so careful they drive to the next suburb to get 10 cents discount on gas, or spend an hour looking for a cheaper plane ticket. Right. They make a decision about how to invest their savings often in a half an hour, based upon a conversation just like this, with back and forth. And
what does the crook have?
The crook has, he is a salesperson, a consummate salesperson. He has, for instance, in the case of Joanne Schneider, she has an affinity, that being her religious character. That is something that's often played on.
And she played that part. Pictures with the Pope.
She played that card relentlessly. And oftentimes the Ponzi schemer has wonderful professional credentials. Yeah. Frank Gruttadaria, for instance, of Cleveland, was affiliated with a very well-regarded investment house.
And he had suckered in a lot of people. Gruttadaria did. A lot of well-known people in Cleveland, even in political circles, got sucked in into his scheme.
That's exactly right. And people, I think, are a little intimidated about investments, and they think that it's something that that it's somehow not something they can come to terms with and they can understand. They want to trust the person, the professional, based on the instincts they use every day as to whether or not somebody's trustworthy, and it's a big mistake. Your instincts will mislead you.
We've got Schneider, we've got Bernie Madoff, we've got Frank Gruttadaria. What can the state do to help stop this kind of fraud?
You know, it's interesting because the state of Ohio dropped the ball so badly in the case of Joanne Schneider, and particularly the Ohio Division of Securities, that it should be an object lesson on what regulators shouldn't do. The Division of Securities was aware in October of 2003 that Joanne Schneider was selling promissory notes to the public, unregistered, promising 15% returns. They knew this in October of 2003. I'm sorry, October of 2003, correct. It takes them over a year to shut down that operation.
Well, what can people do now? There are legitimate firms out there. I mean, and I've got 2 minutes remaining. Legitimate firms out there that take people's money and do wonderful things with them. I mean, we don't want to. We're not painting with a broad brush. This is just a small group. How do you know what's good and what's bad?
I certainly don't want to besmirch the investment community in this city or any others, because there's some marvelous professionals. Watch out for the free lunch where you're brought to a seminar and there's somebody presenting about this wonderful program that he has. And he wants to make a direct sale. Watch out for promises of high rates of return over long periods of time. Watch out for somebody who's urging you to invest all of your life savings or 50% of your life savings in this program because it's so safe. Ask yourself the question, why is Joanne Schneider willing to pay me 15% interest for her real estate when she could borrow from a bank at half of that? Ask that question. Ask the person who's recommending this investment to explain the deal to you like you were a 10th grader in high school. Break this down for me. How can she possibly promise to pay me that rate of return reliably? And why is she borrowing from me instead of a bank?
And why would she come to me in the first place?
Correct.
I always say that when I walk into a house, and if sometimes you sniff and you say, I think gas is escaping. It doesn't smell right. We say that if gas is escaping.
Right.
If it doesn't smell right when that person comes in, trust those instincts is what you're saying. Just like if you're smelling for gas.
Right. You've got to look out for yourself. The regulators will not look out for you. You have to ask the hard questions and don't rely on, you shouldn't worry about that. It's going to be okay. Ask the hard questions about the program itself. If you don't like the answers, hightail it out of there.
John Chapman, attorney with John S. Chapman and Associates, who is talking about what to look out for Ponzi schemes. 241-8172 is the telephone number, as you see at the bottom of the screen in the 216 area code. We're going to have you back, John. We're going to have you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much. Stay with me for just a second. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back after this. You're in touch with Kaleidoscope today. The National Coalition 100 Black Women Greater Cleveland Chapter hosts its annual Women of Vision Luncheon Saturday, March the 19th. And President Patricia Cunningham and Luncheon Chair Barbara Williams are both here to share with us more about this. I got Patricia Cunningham sitting next to me. Good to have you with us. And Barbara Williams sitting on the outside there. Let me ask you, Patricia Cunningham, what is the National Coalition of 100 Black Women?
The National Coalition of 100 Black Women was founded in 1981 in New York City under the guidance of Jewel Jackson McCabe, who was the very first president. Basically, what they were doing as young women, their concern was empowerment for African American women and girls. And today, the mission of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, internationally, nationally, is to focus on gender equity in the areas of health, education, and economic development for African American and girls, as well as other women of color.
That is noble work indeed. Barbara Williams, you're chair of the Women of Vision Luncheon. Now what's this is all part of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women.
Correct.
What's the luncheon about?
The luncheon is about recognizing women locally who we consider to have done great things in the greater Cleveland, northeastern Ohio area. And we recognize these ladies with a luncheon, and they are saluted. They give us the presentation on what they have done, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to come out and share in the success of so many great women who have been through the city of Cleveland in many different ways.
As we often say, it's good to give people flowers while they can still smell them, while they're still here.
Exactly.
Now, this luncheon is going to be March the 19th, Saturday, March the 19th, at the Executive Caterers at Lander Haven. Yeah?
Correct.
There's a scholarship component in this, Pat. Tell me about that.
Yes, the Margaret R. Barron Scholarship Fund, which is named after our founder, our Cleveland chapter founder, is we present scholarships to high school seniors in the Cleveland area, and we talk to them and interview them and look at their needs.
And this is to help them as they step off to colleges and universities.
Exactly.
Yeah. What do you want, Barbara, to happen as a result of this Women of Vision luncheon? I mean, these are women of vision you are bringing to the forefront and giving them some accolades. What do you want to come out of this?
What I'd like to see come out of this is that we are recognizing the women for the accomplishments they have made, and to introduce them to so many people who may not know anything about what they've been doing. They may have heard the names before, but they really don't always know exactly what they're doing. And we recognize them because whether they're there every day or silently in the background, they're doing things. And we hope that our young people will be able to see this and latch on to that and want to grow and be like some of the ladies that we've honored.
Can you say who some of the women of vision are who are going to be?
Yes, we've honored, our first honoree was Dr. Jerry Sue Thornton from Tri-C. We've honored the late Arthur Woods.
Certainly. And
we've had the late Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones. More recently, last year, our honoree was your own Danita Harris.
Danita Harris from Channel 5.
That's right. Who was very inspiring for all of us. And next, we're going to be honoring Dr. Daisy Alford Smith, who is Chief Executive Officer of the Girl Scouts of Northeastern Ohio.
What is it about Daisy Alford who has brought something special? Pat, what is it about her, this year's honoree?
Daisy has an amazing career. She has been involved at so many levels, internationally as well as locally. Right now, as the Chief Executive Officer of the Girl Scouts of America of Northeast Ohio, she has brought a whole new dimension to the Girl Scouts. I mean, we think of the Girl Scouts as selling cookies, but that is no longer the concept. What Daisy has brought to the table is these young women are involved in many leadership activities, so it has taken on a whole new focus under her leadership.
So it's going to be Saturday, March the 19th. Starts at 11 o'clock. Here's a little bit of information on it. It's going to be at the Executive Caterers at Lander Haven. That's in Mayfield Heights. And is there a ticket cost to go?
Yes, tickets are $45 per person.
And for that $45, you get so much, though.
Yes.
You get so much. You were talking about a raffle, too. This is a fundraiser, too.
Yeah, this year we're going to introduce something new, a Chinese auction, which is similar to the silent auction, but with this, everybody has an opportunity to win what they select by purchasing tickets and dropping them in the hat that we will have available for them. That's going to be a real exciting piece that we're adding this year in support of our scholarship fund.
I've got a phone number on the screen. It is 216-831-2990. As you see at the bottom of the screen, more information. People can call there and get their tickets that way as well?
Yes, they can.
Are tickets available at the door? Tickets are going fast.
They're going fast.
You better jump in on the telephone.
We won't turn anyone away.
We won't turn anyone
right.
away. If you want to make sure you're
but
in.
we want to make sure that they're there and we have the right count so everybody gets food.
Saturday, March the 19th. Saturday, March 19th, 11 o'clock in the morning at Executive Caterers at Lander Haven, which is in Mayfield Heights. Thank you so much. Patricia Turner Cunningham, President of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, the Cleveland chapter, and Barbara Williams, who's chair of the Women of Vision Luncheon. We'll see you Saturday, March 19th.
Okay.
At Executive Caterers. Thank you so much for being on the broadcast. I'm taking a break. I'll be right back. Marsha Mockabee of the Urban League with a word for you after this. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. We are partnered with the Greater Cleveland Urban League, and its president, Marsha Mockabee, is here with words of wisdom, as we always say.
We have words of excitement today, Leon. This past week, we had a very exciting thing going on at the Urban League. In partnership with Verizon Wireless, we celebrated our everyday heroes. And these are individuals in the community who have given back in a phenomenal way, and we wanted to just take time along with Verizon to say thank you to them for their contributions and to celebrate what they've done in our community. So we have, I want to give a shout out to these people.
Shout out to the everyday heroes.
All right, Rodney Brown, Barbara A. Williams, Anita Carter, Janie Mixon, Stephanie House, Gail Reese, Rhonda Wheeler, Mike King, Darnell T. Brewer, Ruby Kerr, Maisha Wilson, Scott Embacher, Antoine McKinney, Ruth Gray, Daryl L. Gibson, Ralph Spots, Michael R. Arrington, Alexandria Boone, Sister Carol Moore, Yvette Jackson Clark, and James M. Talton.
All great folks.
Heroes.
All great. I know just
things.
about every one of them, too.
Absolutely.
All great people. And
Yes.
what you want to do is you want to give honor to these people and let them know, thank them for what they do in the community.
Yes, we had a great reception celebrating everyone, and 3 people who we can't talk about today received special honors, so we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay, all right. Well, things are going well for you at the Urban League?
Things are going well. We'll have some pretty exciting announcements coming out in about 2 or 3 weeks. Lots of good things going on, so we're very excited.
And as we said a couple of weeks ago, Marsha is now the lock, stock, and barrel president of the Urban League. No longer the interim leader, but you got the whole job.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Glad to have you with us as always.
Thank
That's going to
you.
do it for Kaleidoscope. Be well.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.